Let's start this off with a round of introductions. On my right, we've got
Peaches.
Peaches.
And
I like that nickname. What's my nickname again? You gotta say it. Say it.
you know what your nickname is. Say it, boy.
Say it.
I wanna say it.
You been in World War II?
Launchpad.
Forget.
Launchpad
You forgot.
is here. Launchpad is here.
Say it from.
This is your boy Launchpad.
There you go.
Own
Who
it.
we got
Own
here?
it.
Who we got
Own
over
it, bro. We got the Bird Dog.
here? The Bird Dog.
Bird dog.
There's only one.
Suffering from sciatica. And of course, it's your boy Ride Boogie. But today we have a special guest. Your Bay Area's own Brandon RUTLEY.
Thank you for joining.
My guys, I appreciate you for having me.
Brandon, thank you for showing up, man.
course,
Fitted,
of
of course.
You know, something light, nothing crazy.
Let's start with that, man.
booted.
We know
Nothing
you've
crazy.
been doing the fit check for the day. Let's start with the fit check for the day. What you got?
You know what's funny? I have this old corduroy Nike hat. This hat is probably from the 70s or 80s. This was my dad's hat, and it was in his garage. I kid you not.
This hat is 40 years old.
Yes,
That's
I kid you not.
that's a
He had
pretty good
box.
condition.
Check
It
this
has
out.
the brown
Check this out.
stains on the inside.
Absolutely. This is one of those old hats. It was in a box in the garage, and I just, I'm rummaging through stuff.
We gonna check it at the break.
Now you can check it. That's fine.
I see the stains.
We
No,
gonna check
so
those sweat
I'm looking
stains.
through
We
this
gonna
box and
verify
I
it.
see all these hats, and I'm like, damn, this looks like a vintage hat, right? So I started playing around with them, and a lot of them, I don't know where they are now, but I've held on to this Nike corduroy. Like, this is a classic.
That's
So
classic.
impressive.
this is a good one.
Bro,
you know?
I remember that hat from one of the Jordan commercials.
Yeah, it might be worth some money, so I might need to take it off.
I was gonna say,
Clean
maybe
them up a little
maybe
bit.
look
You
on
might
eBay
need
and see what
to
those
restore
are.
that.
This is sentimental value to me, right?
You know what?
The hat restoral.
LA Art
Hat
District,
restoral is
that's
gonna happen.
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
350 LA Art District.
Okay.
That's what it would be.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's definitely a vibe. So it's something that I've held on to. And one thing that you guys need to know about me is I'm a bargain shopper. My glasses are from Amazon.
That's what's
Okay.
up.
$5. A little off the rack H&M cheap shirt. Cheap.
Yeah.
Right. That's just my style. I find things that are cheap.
Not cheap, bro.
No. Not cheap, but I mean vintage. Give me some.
There you go.
Vintage. That's my
It's not the
style.
cost, it's how you put it together.
It's how you put it together. There's no question
cheap.
about that.
Yeah.
And the person who carries it, you got to carry it once.
You
right?
got to be able to carry it well. I do agree with that, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta
You
fit you, too.
It has to fit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? I think too also you can you can create that style, right? You can always reinvent yourself at any point in time.
That's right.
True.
If you want to.
Agreed.
So that's something that I've definitely worked with a lot of folks with helping them reinvent themselves, right? Throw some clothes on and make yourself feel good.
There it is.
Confidence.
Look good, feel
Look
good.
good.
You gotta
Feel
own it.
good.
You gotta own it.
You gotta own it.
You gotta own it.
You gotta own
That's
it.
it. Own that look. Own
Yeah,
that look.
no question. No
I mean,
question.
once you have it on, you have no choice.
You have no choice.
You better be confident
That's right.
in
No
what you
choice.
chose for yourself.
But I also think, though, a huge part of that, right, is that let's just say if you're connecting with somebody to help you with that process, you also got to find pieces that you connect to.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm not someone that
You
wears
gotta
certain
be
things
genuine
like that,
about it. Yeah.
right? If I'm not someone that,
Yeah.
if I don't wear
Authenticity.
3-4 chains, then
That's the
don't
word.
throw them on my neck, right? That's not who I am.
You have
It doesn't even look right. You know what I mean? So I think find those pieces that intertwine with who you are personally, but just styling a little bit different. That's right.
I was trying to tell our boy Doug that not everyone can rock Cuban Link Jesus piece.
No,
And
not
if
at
you
all.
can't, you shouldn't know.
Not at all. Not at all. Because some of those chains
short
too,
and
right,
stubby.
are a little much. Sometimes they're a little extra.
Gaudy.
Yeah, exactly.
word,
and there's
gaudy.
a time and a place for that, right? If you're going to an event where they're talking about, okay, hey, look at these chains, be dramatic. Maybe you go to the Met Gala,
There you go.
you want to put something on that's a little bit out there, go ahead. But some people, they have that personality, right?
Some.
Yeah.
But a chosen few. You're right. But Brandon, thank you for joining us. So you've got most of the whole crew here. We're missing, of course, Sweeney the Demon Barber.
Yep.
Let's just go back. Let's start from the beginning, man. Tell us what was the upbringing of Mr. Brandon RUTLEY.
Yeah, man. So, like we spoke about this earlier. I was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My mom quickly brought myself and my other 3 siblings out here to the Bay, and we ended up living in Richmond for a little while, and made our transition up the road to Martinez, and that's really when kind of my journey really began that I remember. So I, quickly got into sports. My mom said, you guys have to have outlets. She's a single mom of 4 kids. You guys have to have something to do. So so she put us in sports. And
Where do you lie in the
I'm the baby.
You're the baby.
I am the baby. I'm the baby, but I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Right. So
I get that.
I've always kind of had this mindset of like, you know, I've always had like a old soul, so to speak.
Right.
Right. And so, right, obviously sports and things like that, I mimicked my brothers. They played before me.
All brothers, or?
No, I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
Right. My brothers played ball and they were dope.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I don't really want to play ball. I want to play with toys. You know, I didn't want to play the video game. I wanted to, you know, create things in my mind, and I wanted to play a 5-on-5 game of football with my Spider-Man and all these different toys. You know, that was just more of my style back then. And so like my mom was like, you need to play some kind of sport. So was thrown into Pop Warner at 8 years old, and didn't know a damn thing about the game. Didn't know the proper cleats to wear, the proper face mask to put on. So I looked like shit out there. You know, can I use that kind of language?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
Want to make
adults.
sure. You know, we're adults. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all look
We
like
are.
shit right now.
So
I feel like I do.
He feels like shit.
drink a little bit more, you'll feel better.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah. So kind of thrown out there, learning the game a little bit, and I didn't like to be hit. Right. And I remember the very first game I was put in. They're like, okay, Jim Webb, was my first coach, a good man too. He said, you're gonna play in the backfield, running back. I'm gonna give you the ball. My thing was I don't want to be touched. I'm already fast, so I don't want to get hit. So first time he gave me the ball, touchdown. You know.
First time?
Yep.
Wow.
He gave me the ball again, touchdown.
Okay.
You know. So that kind of began my journey of playing sports, and then kind of meeting my circle, meeting my people, Martinez. Like I was just telling you, there was like this feel of like this varsity blues type of little town. If the football was rocking, the town was rocking, right? People knew who you were in your city, you know.
Like whipped cream varsity blues, or just the movie?
Whipped cream, or
maybe when I got to high school. maybe when I got to high school, it might have been whipped cream. But I think, to be honest with you, I was still a little bit of a good boy. So, I didn't experience much of that. I had a girlfrild back in high school.
You were just trying to prove yourself.
You know, maybe that's what it was, right? I just hadn't come into my own yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was still young. But yeah, just growing up in Martinez, had a great group of friends. Jason, who owns this gym, one of my best friends growing up, hitting all those milestones together, experiencing different things, and sports was the center of everything for us, right? We played every sport, track, basketball, football. We could all play baseball, but never really committed to it. It was too slow of a game for us, we felt. But
my heart is breaking.
You know, I'll appreciate it now. I think if I can go back and if I had the same mentality, I definitely would have played. I feel like there was a miss. I definitely do know that there was a missed opportunity for me there, for sure. But football was it for me, right?
And your brothers play football?
They did, but they weren't disciplined enough to see it through.
Okay.
Right? They were distracted by other things, and they fell off before they can really, excel in that space. And I always kind of had that mentality. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get in this thing. I'm gonna become good at it, and kind of perfect my craft. So,
Do you remember the first time you got popped?
oh yeah.
Yeah, because you talked about getting
I
your
don't
first
want to
hand
get
off
hit.
and
Not like
Yeah.
not
a
like
touchdown. But what was that first time you got popped?
The very first time I really got popped was in high school. I was avoiding everybody since then. Like, when I got into high school, I remember it was against Los Lomas. I did like a angle route, and I came back across, and somebody just dove at me, and the helmet went right to my stomach. And I just, one of those
Lost that win.
where I'm like, oh my God, I've never felt this kind of pain, where it made me throw up on the field.
In the helmet?
Well, the helmet to anything is the worst kind of.
Yeah, I was
Dang,
like,
with the mouthpiece in too.
no, I had to take it
Oh,
out. Like, I couldn't breathe. I'm like, then it just made me just throw up. I'm throwing up Gatorade and stuff like that. I'm like, shit, this is what it's like to get hit.
Human.
Right?
To actually be touched.
Right?
You touched me?
To be touched down here,
But
right?
that's when you get hit. And what was your initial? Was it? Oh, I want more, or nah? This ain't for me.
You know what?
Hey,
I didn't.
Hey,
I don't even
you
know.
might
If
have
that, I don't
said
even know if that processed me. At the time, I was thinking to myself, because I hate throwing up. I'm like, oh my God, I just threw up on this field, and people are watching me.
You're
barf.
a little embarrassed.
I'm a little embarrassed about that because
Yeah.
I'm young, so my ego was so large at that point, right? I'm like, I care about the way people
This was
view me.
freshman year?
No, this is probably like my junior.
Damn, it
That's
took
a
you all the way to
long time.
That's a long
junior
time
to get hit.
to really get like smacked.
That's an aura of invincibility.
Yeah, because I wasn't getting smacked like that. Like, I was avoiding people, if
Yeah.
I'm close to the sideline, if there's nowhere for me to go,
just
get
dip
out of bounds
out.
real quick,
It's
save my body.
16 years of invincibility.
Invisibility, I'm making people miss, I'm
And you
eluding
also didn't
people.
see him coming necessarily.
I didn't. And then so I felt that. And I
Was it
didn't.
Jason's fault?
No, it wasn't Jason's fault.
He's not here though. You can if you want to
No, I never took.
Say it,
missed the
bro.
block.
Jason, look, Jason was a dog, man. I'm trying to tell people, Jason was an absolute dog, and I hate to say this, but I feel like if he had, higher quality coaching, they really could have got more out of him. They could have got, it's some
Yeah.
people that are good,
Some-
but
yeah.
if you have some
If you have that coaching,
you
yeah.
can just be
Coaching with
incredible.
experience.
Yeah, I feel
You know
that.
what I mean? And so no, it didn't make me run away from it, right? I didn't even think about the hit.
Okay.
At that point, I was more concerned like, I just threw up out here.
Yeah.
There's girls in the stand seeing me
Yeah.
throw up out here like a bitch.
There goes
you know?
prom.
I feel you. I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel
You know, I'm
I
some
feel
bitch
you.
out here. I'm throwing up out here on the field,
Yeah.
yada yada. And
So how'd you finish the game after that?
I'm sure I probably had a couple of touchdowns.
Okay.
A couple more. I'm sure I ate them up, and we could probably find the film.
What year is this?
This is
We'll
from
fact check that.
fact check that.
We're gonna do
Fact
big-
check
big-
that.
no,
And I feel
what
confident
year-
about
what year was
it.
this?
So this was probably either 2006 or 2007.
Okay, these were your powerhouse years. Though.
Yeah, these were those powerhouse
Yeah.
years. I was really eating.
Powerhouse years.
Yeah, I was
We
eating.
gonna look this up here.
Yeah, we're gonna look that
This video,
up. We-
I'll vouch for Martinez as a powerhouse.
we could look that up. Yeah, but we were rolling, right?
Alhambra was a powerhouse.
Yeah,
Alhambra was
we were,
powerhouse.
and that's what I was telling them. It was like varsity blues back then. Like the stands would be filled, and folks would be outside of the gate watching the games.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an exciting time for our team. We were rolling. Even our coach was invigorated. He was fired up. He was like, I know I got something special with this group. And we
This
were
is
pushing.
when the Van Gundy's were really proud of Alhambra.
yeah.
You know that, right? Both Van Gundy's went there.
Yeah.
Did they? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
both of
shit.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so it was, and so Coach Silvera, who's our head coach at the time, his brother-in-law is North Turner, which I think at that point he was the head coach for Oakland at the time.
Didn't know that.
So
He coached the Cowboys
I'm so
too.
young. I was so young at this time. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I'm not going to the NFL at some point. My coach right here sees what I'm doing out here, and his brother is North Turner. I'm a shoe in.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm going through that process, killing high school. But I'll tell you what, I wasn't very disciplined in the classroom. And it wasn't that I wasn't
Yeah.
smart. I just didn't care to do that shit at the time.
It
I
wasn't
didn't.
a priority.
I feel
It
that.
wasn't a priority. And also, when I got home, my mom was at work, so it wasn't like she was like, "Hey, babe, sit down and get this homework
the
done after
homework
school."
done.
I'm about to go
Yeah.
play with my boys. I'm about to
Yeah.
go throw the ball or go ride bikes or something like that. So that wasn't a priority. So the bare minimum was fine to me. If I can get a C,
Yeah. Passing enough to play.
I'm straight.
You
I'm
get
playing.
degrees.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? and they absolutely do. Because you realize a lot of that shit doesn't matter after a while. But it's just about the ability to get something done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is the most
See it
important
through.
part. Seeing it through. Seeing it through, right?
Hello.
So at that point, I'm in high school, and I got different colleges coming up to the school on a regular basis, checking on me. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I'm not going to, Cal Berkeley was where I was planning on going, right? Because I would go watch.
Because you were definitely a prospect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I had
You're, where do you think you were ranking nationwide?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I didn't care about stats. I didn't care about no rankings. None of that ever
You just
mattered
wanted
to
to
me.
play.
I was just playing
Yeah.
ball. I think during my era when we were growing up, we didn't check our stats. We were just like,
Right.
Yeah.
if I had 2 touchdowns, or 3 touchdowns,
you
I
felt
was
good about
balling
it.
today.
Yeah.
That's
But
how
you felt
But you
good.
did.
you're winning,
That was
and
your
the team's
average,
winning.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was it not?
I mean, I'm scoring 2 or 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and I'm probably out before the 4th quarter. So
the team's winning too. Then you gotta figure.
if we're beating somebody 45-6, you're putting the 3rd and 4th string in.
In Contra
Yeah.
Costa.
Again,
Yeah.
playing, that's what I'm saying. Playing good teams out here. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
so
good district.
at that point, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I don't care about. I know I scored 3 touchdowns in the game. I balled today. You know what I mean? And some of those touchdowns were from the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
So I know I had a good
Wow.
game. And so that's kind of was my mindset back then. So I didn't go check stats or check this and that.
You just knew.
That's because you already did it.
And that's
You
what
already
I
knew
and
what
that's
you
what I
did,
felt,
so
right?
you don't
I
have to
mean,
look at it.
obviously this generation is different now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Right.
But so none of that mattered to me. I'm like, if I'm producing, I'm definitely going to a big college because I'm producing at such a high level. And so I'm seeing all these colleges come through on a regular basis. I mean, anybody from SC to Harvard was at the school coming through. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm definitely going to Cal or like SC or one of these big schools. You know, I finish up my senior season. I remember I went to a camp. Actually, I went to a camp, San Jose State camp, my sophomore year. And I never even played running back there. I just played receiver. You know, I used to like playing receiver also and stuff. Yeah. And they offered me a scholarship my sophomore year. And I'm like, okay, this is great, but I'm not going here. I'm going to a different place. And then when I get to my senior year, and I would be an ass if I didn't disclose this, but I remember I had to sit down with my teachers and my principal, and they're like, hey, you need to take biology and Spanish for 2 years to be college eligible. And I'm like, okay. I really just said, just give me the grades.
Yeah.
I've always known myself. I'm like, I'm not disciplined enough right now to sit down and learn Spanish. And, you know, I'm also too wild and too young right now to focus on biology. I got all these other easy ass classes. You know, I've never had to sit down and really have to study for a test. I'm not going to do this now my junior year or senior year. I just know I'm not going to. Place me in these classes, and sure enough, I failed because my mind was
priorities were different.
Yeah.
There were so many different things, right? And I never forget this. I come back. This is well after, like, I'm in a program in the CFL. I come back, and my old athletic director said, if I knew how things were, we would have did things differently back in the day. And it wasn't that, you know, I wasn't capable of passing these classes, but like I didn't have structure enough at home to where my family was gonna sit down with me and help me with my homework or help me solve this problem. Hell, because they don't know how to do biology, right? And so I think some kids miss out on opportunities because they're like, okay, well, if you're not doing this work, we're not gonna, you know, give you this opportunity. Because at that time in my life, I'm like, I love Martinez. I love what this Cal has done for me, and I'm a giver. So I can guarantee you, if I went to Cal or SC, I'd have been drafted to go to the NFL. It's just a bigger school, it's a bigger market. You know, the way that way. It's not like these kids now. They have transfer portals and stuff like that. You know, I had 1,000 yards my senior season in college and 14 touchdowns, and I didn't get drafted. You know, and there's guys from Alabama who had 400 yards and 2 touchdowns and got drafted third round. You know, those things matter, right? And so the business aspect of it, right? So, but at the same time, I also realized that things happen the way they're supposed to happen. They happen for a reason. For me, I think my failing, and I say this in a way that I hope makes sense for you guys and the viewers. I started failing forward when I was in high school, right? So
you were thinking ahead.
Yeah, but I didn't know that was happening at the time. At that time, I was pissed. I'm like, these guys have fucked me. You know what I mean? You guys have screwed up my life. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, my ego was so big. No, I wouldn't say I was walking around as a cocky guy, but my ego wouldn't allow me to say that. Like, you know, I remember my teacher said, "Brandon, what if this doesn't work for you?" And I looked at her. I said, "Did you see what I just did Friday night?"
You just felt untouchable.
I said, I just scored, 5 touchdowns. I'm definitely, to the next level. I mean, are you crazy?
Plus when you're young, like envisioning like what that looks like.
Yes.
Your mortality when you're young. When you're younger,
you're so talented.
Your mortality, there is no.
Yeah, you're in the present. You're in the present.
Like,
you feel there's
nobody can tell you no wrong.
He said a word. He said structure. That is a lesson for schools too, though. Because structure at home should, be recognized by the school system.
For sure.
If they see a star player, you got to provide some structure to some degree.
Or you know what? If you know that I'm not doing this shit at home, make me stay here. Make me stay here after school with some kind of a special teacher that's gonna make sure your homework is done. Whether they're helping me to the point where they're almost doing it for me.
Make sure just make you understand it. That's all it is.
Because it's also understanding.
Like you're gonna benefit from it too. As a person. If you just have that teacher that just takes over and says, "Hey, I see you doing this on the field."
But so will the school.
So will the school.
So will the school, which is why they really should
That's what
pay attention to these athletes and say, "Look, we want to be on the map. This is our route to the map. We have to make sure this student is provided for.
Exactly.
In order to
And then
continue
let's go
to
ahead
build
and
your
give it.
program,
Yep.
too.
Yeah, correct.
You recognize the
Right.
as a school, as a system, you recognize the value.
That's
It's a
branding.
business.
And nurturing
Branding,
that.
funding,
Yeah.
right?
Funding.
You
That's a
need
good call.
this.
Boosters, all that.
Boosters.
All that matters. If you got a kid that went to your high school, that went to the NFL, and he's doing well
Right.
at a high level, there's no reason why he can't get to school new uniforms. Can't get to the school a new field.
Right.
You know, they're paying, these guys are making
Yeah.
$30,000 a week,
Yeah.
a $50,000 check a week.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's no reason why you can't
just
pour back
kick
into
off
your.
to your community.
It's a write-off. I can do a camp there at
Yeah.
the school every year.
Yep, a write-off.
You can get people coming from, especially a central place like Alhambra. I'm thinking to myself, you can get kids from Richmond, Pittsburgh, Antioch.
everywhere.
It's talent,
Yeah, there's talent.
right?
all
I'm trying to
around
figure
this
out how to
little
get
area.
inter-district
You can
transfers.
get that private school overflow.
Come on,
Yep.
absolutely, you absolutely can, because it's such a beautifully placed school, and they have all these beautiful amenities, but the sports are mediocre.
Yeah.
They're
It's a small. For this area though. It's a relatively smaller town.
It's a small
So maybe
town.
there's some of that, just the history there.
but there's so much talent
There's a lot of
surrounding
talent out here.
Alhambra.
It's a smaller town that services a greater demographic,
Yes.
a greater area, because they're central.
yeah.
So I mean, really, when you think about that, let's just compare. From a scholastic standpoint, we three of us went to Lowell. He went to Mill. Sorry.
Yeah.
We focus on
Sorry.
academics in the city,
Yeah.
San Francisco, and you make Lowell decide to break the mold. We're going to make ourselves an optional school, but you have to qualify. Sports programs should do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when you're catering to a larger demographic, again, you have to recognize who you are as a school. It's about identity, kind of like when we're talking about the Warriors. Sorry to digress. But you have to pick identity, and you have to cater and structure to your identity.
But prior to your glory years there, had Alhambra had strong programs and winning teams, or was it kind of your team that put it on the map? That's what I'm saying. Like other schools in this area, like you mentioned, like Campo Lindo, Las Lomas, et cetera, had probably gone through some of that, so they built some of that foundation.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to think.
I don't remember
what
the teams.
was a missing thing within the area.
I don't think that the team was just so successful. Like, one thing about Martinez, they have their Pop Warner, right? And all those kids that play in Pop Warner go to Alhambra eventually.
Yeah.
Why aren't they running the same offense? Why aren't the kids learning Alhambra's offense and defense right now?
Straight from the start.
Everything
A feeder
should be feeding up to this high school that should be dominant. Because I don't care what anybody says, sports, and especially football, brings money and notoriety to a school.
It does.
Well, any sport.
Any
right?
sport.
Any sport that's dominant, right?
Yeah.
But especially football, though.
Yeah, just
Especially football.
It's still America's sport.
It absolutely is, right? So I think these things were missing. But I think during my era when I played, a lot of my coaches that I play with in Pop Warner, we kind of all worked all those years, all the way to high school. Like, I remember the same faces and the same people. We moved with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that was building success. But I'm saying it to say, like, my family lived in Pittsburgh when I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to enter this transfer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
Should have went to Pitt High.
there's 3 or 4 talented running backs at Pittsburgh High. Not all of them can play. So we need to get 1 or 2 of these guys. They can have a great life out there in Martinez.
Yep.
A great little, great friends, great sports. You have little parties on the weekends and stuff like that, and they're in a better area.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in a better area also, right? Because, like, I remember one thing about my sports. I go to school, practice is from 5 to 7. So my whole day is spent, at Alhambra. Then I'm going to eat. I'm not getting home.
8:30.
I'm getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
I don't have no junk to get into, no BS getting into other than hanging out with my boys.
Yep.
So I think that there's a huge missed opportunity there that other schools like De La Salle capitalized on.
I was just going to say, it's a missed opportunity for the public schools because now you're letting everyone feed into De La Salle.
Yeah.
And what about all the kids that can't go the payment route?
Yeah.
What about the kids that don't have the parents that can afford De La Salle? I mean, this is where structure comes into play.
Yep.
And again, you see a star player, you have to start figuring out how you're going to not just protect your player, your star player, but how you're going to make sure you're paying attention to that player, but also recognize what he does for the program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He or she.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of players when they're quote unquote superstars in the town or they're the dominant player on the team, they can do so much for the community and the town. Yeah. I did a lot of work for the city of Martinez when I was a kid. I used to coach other kids when I was a kid myself.
Nice.
That was my passion, right? I loved pouring into other people, and I still do that to this day. But there's this expectation, right, that you have to do everything right and everything perfect to get here, right? And that's not necessarily the truth. Right. But this is when I go back to failing forward, right? And so, I finished my last game against Hayward when we got tore up in a playoff game. And I'm like, okay, well, I know this is over. I'm getting ready for whatever the next level is. It comes time to figure out where I'm going to school. I can't go anywhere. They're like, hey, you're not going to qualify. I'm talking to the running back coach at Cal, man. We want you. Yeah. We want you and Javid. Best is what he told me. Wow. Yeah. At that time, this is before they brought in Vereen Green, who was the other running back with Javid. Mm-hmm. He said, we want you and Javid, but you're not going to qualify. Right? Both of those boys went to the NFL. Yeah. And I think Vereen played a little bit longer than Javid. Yeah. Yep. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Yep. But just like those little conversations, the coach at Oregon said, hey, we love you. Coach Aliotti, I think his name was. He said, I actually want you to play corner for us. But you're not going to qualify. I'm like, what do you mean am I going to qualify? Here comes San Jose State. We accept non-qualifiers.
Why call?
Yeah. Huh?
Why call just to say you're not going to qualify?
Well, no, I'm saying this is after these conversations, we had ongoing conversation. I just let us know, man, we would love to have you. Maybe you might want to go to a JC or something like that.
And this is when kind of the reality hit, though, of what you could have been doing, right?
Yeah, I'm like, at this point,
I just didn't realize,
I was frustrated. I was like, fuck, oh my God, what is happening here? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I know I got the scholarship at San Jose State. They're like, we accept non-qualifiers. You got to come in. You still come in, but you're not a scholarship athlete. Your first year, you got to complete 24 units before you can get your scholarship. Basically,
this is at San Jose.
Yeah. Basically, if you're a red shirt sophomore year.
This is after you've done a camp there, being like, oh, this is great. But
I knew I was going to get that. Oh my God, I know I'm going to get the scholarship at San Jose State. Yeah, I'm not going there. I'm about to go to one of these bigger schools. Yeah. And that humbled me really quickly, right? So I thought about the JC route, but I know myself. I'm not disciplined enough. Who knows if I'm going to get out of here? Yeah. Because I haven't been doing my schoolwork in high school now because it's a year later. I'm going to do my homework in college. Right. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm like, this is still D1 right now. I'm looking at the schedule. When I start playing, we open up with USC. We open up with, we have Wisconsin on the schedule. We have big schools on the schedule. So I looked at those things and I was like, you know what, I'm better off just going here and having that experience. And then I went there my freshman year, no scholarship. I was a part of the team, but wasn't a part of the team, right? I couldn't work out with the team. I couldn't do shit with the team. I would sit around in the back during meetings. I was a regular student. Right. I think that was the worst thing that could have happened for me. Because I loved.
You weren't even a walk-on then?
No, I wasn't. No. I was a regular student. Yeah. Oh. So they say you don't even. It's technically called a gray shirt, right? Oh. So you don't have any affiliation with the team, but they say we know we have you. We have you here in our pocket, and we're gonna bring you on.
So you just have to do your work.
And San Jose was smart for this because there was a lot of super talented people.
It was a good time for
that just didn't focus on their schoolwork or didn't have that structure. They took advantage of that, and they would get those people. Say, hey, we can still get your scholarship, get you in the dorms. You get some financial aid for a year that you're gonna have to pay back after the scholarship, comes in. And
that's how they do.
That's exactly how they do. Which I think, to be honest with you, it's smart for them, right?
It's win-win.
Yeah, they're like, I can get a player that might be a 5-star, and then hopefully he pans out for us after this, right? So
it's free money for them.
I completed those 24 units. Because they were just the classes were just so mundane and just easy at that point, right? And then but I loved that freshman year. It was the first time in my life since 8 years old that I didn't have to worry about a sport. So I was a college kid, partying with my boys.
Huh? You dormed there?
Oh yeah, I'm dorming. I'm experiencing this is.
You living.
Yeah, I'm like this is
living life.
Yeah. I said this is like the thing.
But you wanted to play the whole time though.
No. hadn't had that.
At that time, you were just like, hey,
Well, you
I'm a
did
student.
it, you
When
did,
I
but
would
then you
watch-
realized
when I would go to a game, I had to sit in the stands like a fan, right? So I
Oh,
wasn't even on the
man.
sideline with the team.
Oh, shit.
So I had no connection to the team. But I would watch and think about myself, I'm definitely better than this guy that's in the backfield. Had I came out, if I could have came in as a true freshman, I definitely would have played because of there was one guy, Giannis Davis. Now he was a dog. He was a dog in the backfield. I definitely would have been me and him playing, and I would have been playing as a true freshman. I truly believe that.
This is a good opportunity for you to kind of get that experience
Yeah, but
and do some of the stuff.
From the perspective of a fan, I would sit in the stands and I would cheer, with the Spartan squad, and I love that vibe because coming from a small town like Martinez, they're like, Brandon, be Rut, that's the guy out here, you know what I mean? So to have that stripped away and just be a regular person and just being able to enjoy
This is a good lesson.
the things that I always like to do. I love to dance. I loved acting. I love all these different things. So I was taking these classes, dance classes. I was experiencing this my freshman year, right? And I kind of was like, okay, well, football is there, but this is my first time. I'm independent. I'm in these dorms. I'm in chicks. This is a great
College
experience.
life.
Yeah, I'm experiencing college, right? And then I go into my sophomore year, and I started playing ball, and it was fine. I was having fun, but at that point, it disconnected for me. So I wasn't so focused on like being so amazing at that craft at that point. I've never had that break, right? And at that point, San Jose State was in this transition period where there wasn't enough structure there to say that we were building an elite program, right? So there was a lot of, Coach Tomey was there at the time, but he was getting ready to transition out. And if a coach transitions out, every position coach is probably getting fired.
Yeah.
So those guys are checked in and checked out, checked in and checked out, right? And so for me, there was a lack of structure again until I think it was my junior year. Coach McIntyre came in, and he tried to he was very huge on structure, discipline, and things like that. But I'm thinking to myself, man, I've been here for the last couple of years. And you're not gonna make me believe in this shit now, So for him, he needed to get us out of there. He needed to get our group out of there, so he can get to his guys that he was bringing in, that he recruited.
It goes to show how much culture is relevant to these programs.
Oh, for sure.
Like you said, even high school and college, right? Like just having like
Culture.
the continuity.
All that matters.
Familiarity.
Yeah.
Familiarity.
Your team.
It all matters, man. And so, I had a decent junior season. I won a starting job because it's a business in college. They'll try to replace you every year if you're not producing. Right. So I played well my freshman year. They brought another running back in my sophomore year. He was starting, and I was backing him up. And I won a job again my junior year. Had a mediocre season with a mediocre team. We probably won 2 games. And then my senior year, they brought a new running back in from Washington. And so I was backing him up again my senior year. I'm like, fuck. But I'm gonna do special team, the kick return, punt return. I'm good with it.
Right.
We opened up with UCLA, and the first game, the first play, the running back got hurt. I think he broke his arm or something like that. So I'm back in the backfield.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm back in the backfield.
Of course.
75-yarder.
Nice.
Against UCLA, and then from there it was just like I was stacking games. I'm like, damn, I'm back to, be run again. I'm back to that groove again, right? Had a good senior year. Like I told you, I ended that season 14 touchdowns. I think it was just under 1,000 yards, and I'm definitely gonna get signed somewhere at the very least. I had a great season. Now this isn't I had so many off the field antics. With different coaches. We had a strength and conditioning coach that came from Stanford. I hate to say that he wasn't a good man, but I think that he was also accustomed to the style of Stanford, standard at Stanford, and he tried to implement that same standard over at San Jose State. But you got a bunch of misfits over here right now that's trying to figure out structure. Right. And so for us, I think I hate to say it, but you needed a gentler touch. To understand that we've been through the ringer, for the last almost 5 years. So it's hard for us to believe that what you're saying is going to work because we failed now for the last almost 5 years. We haven't won, and so we butted heads really tough. I said some things to him that I probably shouldn't have said, at that point. But again, I was a kid with a big ego, and one of my things that I've always done was I advocated for people. I do believe that, as a, we're playing the game, but you have to treat a young man with respect to receive respect.
Right.
Right. And I always used to feel like, it didn't matter what coach it was. When you talk to somebody and you talk to him and you were putting them down, here goes Brandon. I'm going off. You don't talk to him like that. You don't speak to this person like that.
Yeah.
You don't treat this person like that. Everybody has the right to speak out here, right? I can remember us doing conditioning one day, and it was a guy. He was a tight end. His name was Chris Bryant, and he was trying to motivate us. We're tired. It's hot as hell out here, and he's like, "Come on, guys. We can go." And this coach says, "Shut the fuck up, Brian. You don't have the right to speak out here." I'm thinking to myself, "What? Whoa." Shut this practice down. Everybody got the right to speak out this
This is
bitch.
right.
Yeah, are you crazy?
Yes, you do.
But those are the kind of things that I couldn't believe it. And it's because he missed some meeting or something like that because he had class or something like that, right? But I'm like, that's not the punishment. You handle that in your office.
Right.
You don't have to embarrass him and belittle him out here on the field. So I did a lot of that, right? And it wasn't always probably necessary. I think I would lash out sometimes and respond without really thinking about the situation a little bit more thoroughly, and that bit me in the ass because when those 32 teams came in, the same coach that was in that weight room, this is somebody you want to deal with.
Right.
It's the problem guy. He runs his fucking mouth.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So a running back that has shy of 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, probably damn near 1,000 kick return yards, don't even get drafted, don't even get signed by a team. Right, so crickets during draft day.
You said 1,000 kick return yards?
Yeah.
Over how?
I think 12 games.
Oh, over a single year period?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But the kick return guard.
Those are some numbers.
But it's easy to get that in the kick return because if you're losing, you get kicked the ball several times. You know what I mean? But I think that it's going through that process, it was humbling because I was like, damn, this is what it's like to fail. Right, when
this is also the business. So.
I'm like, the draft is over. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God. And it wasn't so much that it didn't work. It was that people are going to see that I didn't make it. My ego.
Yeah.
Remember that ego?
The ego.
Was talking to me. People are going to see that I didn't make it because everyone was so sure of it that I was going to be that guy that got there.
Yeah.
That
Your circle.
Not yet my circle and whoever else, other people were that just watched me, right?
But that outweighed your own sense of dissatisfaction.
Oh yeah, I was still sick about it. I'm thinking to myself, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I remember I got invited to Oakland, to the Raiders in a mini camp, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm about to go out here and I'm about to do everything I can to make this team. And at the end of those 3 days, they called out the people that they were keeping. They didn't call my name. I'm thinking, this must be some kind of mistake, coach. Have you seen do you know who I am? X, Y, and Z. And at that point, I was just like, shit. I remember I was just gutted. I was
how many trials did you do? Like how many mini camps did you do?
Just that one in Oakland. I talked to several teams, and I later found out that I was blacklisted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
because of some of the coach feedback.
Because of the feedback.
Because of the feedback.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't know what that was. I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm talking to my agent. There's nobody that's gonna give me a workout, a tryout, because there was teams that would call my coach and say, hey, the Chiefs said they want to come work you out. The Texans want to work you out. The Jets said they want to definitely bring you out. I'm thinking to myself, what's the holdup?
Yeah.
What's going on, right? And so I had a close source to me that was really involved in the league, and he said, yeah, you're blacklisted. You're one of those guys, don't touch.
They actually give you that feedback though, huh? That's interesting.
Did you get any more insight as to why?
Well, it was why. So they spoke. A lot of them said they spoke to my
the strength and conditioning coach.
Trainer, and I apparently he used to take notes on everybody and put them in his drawer about this guy.
Wow.
Lazy.
That's messed
shit.
up.
This
How
guy
he just has that little.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Because
But he was connected in a way, right? So he was respected.
But
because of the program.
They honored their feedback and stuff like that, and he was a simple, put together white man.
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't make sense in the fact that he didn't have the conversation with you.
No, well, I mean, he probably did, but at that point in time, I don't think that he was open to our feedback. to me saying, "No, coach, you know what you're talking about. You know, this is what's going on here. No, you're a kid. You listen to everything. What I say goes."
And he had some level of success.
He has some level of
developing
success.
players, etc. So,
I guess that's what I mean.
So he has his own ego.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely had one.
So
No question.
But that's what I mean in the sense of, let me have a conversation with this kid, see what he's really about, and if he understands what he's about to lose if he keeps going.
We've never had that
that's
conversation.
that's what
I
he
mean.
should have had. Yeah,
We never had that conversation.
Right.
You know?
So he's managing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We
In other
never
words,
had that conversation.
In corporate America, we call that managing up.
You know, so that was that was an opportunity.
But I'm just saying that
to
just
happen.
feels so commonplace, like outside perspective.
Yeah.
This story, your story and journey seems real commonplace actually.
Yes.
Like I've heard this, read about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time I'm hearing it like directly.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
And
you
I'm
know,
not
like-
giving all this blame to this man saying these things, right? I take a lot of responsibility in it now. I do. When I was younger, I definitely blame people on why this or that didn't happen,
all part
right?
of the journey.
Right.
But there's so many things that I didn't do. There's so many times that I didn't go to the gym and train when I should have gone to the gym and train because of my ego, right? I come to the gym late and the coach is like, "I'm gonna make an example out of you guys. You got to do 100 burpees right here in front of your team." I was
Okay.
like, what? Man, fuck you, man. Walk out this gym. You know, I was so young. You know, and again, that discipline, that structure.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I'm like, look, coach, I'm here. It's 9:31. Chill out.